So hello YouTube, welcome back. This is Thomas Judge with another custom printed Marvel Omnibus video. In this case, it's going to be Heroes Reborn Omnibus Volume 2, which is the sequel to my Heroes Reborn Omnibus Volume 1. I've got a picture of that here. I did that a couple of months ago and posted up quite a detailed video explaining what I did and why I did it. But just as a quick recap, I just wanted to let everyone know that the difference between what I do, which are custom printed comics and custom printed omnibuses, and the custom binds that you see on a lot of videos like Atrocitus Collectibles or the hardcover comic and things like that, is that these don't use the original floppies. These print out brand new comics, brand new images to the size that you want. So it's got 5 major bonuses, and the previous video goes into a lot of detail. Feel free to check that out after this. But the main advantages are, 1, they have the right page size. They're not normal trade paperback size or floppy size. You can actually have them sized to the exact thing that you want, be that omnibus size or absolute size. 2, no adverts, which is something that I love about them because I can't stand the fact that most floppies are about 30% adverts. Thirdly, they allow you to go full bleed, which means that you can crop the images the way you want, rotate them, adjust them, make sure they're edge to edge, all that sort of stuff. Fourthly, they allow you to design a custom dust jacket, which I'll show you in just a second. And fifthly, they allow you to pick the custom binding order that you like as well. So the major thing is having the lack of adverts and having the size that you want, but the rest of it is all great reasons to get your own comics made. So looking at volume 2 here, I've got a picture there of the front cover, which I designed myself from an in-comic image. There's a picture of the back, and there's a little bit of text saying what issues are in it and so on, which I'll talk about later. The front inside leaf has got this splash image of Cap versus Red Skull. Now, in the volume 1, it was just a black page, but for volume 2, I thought, you know what, I'll try something a little bit different, and this worked out really well. You can see here on the back inside leaf is Galactus. Again, I got that image out of the comic and I cleaned it up and set it up like that, and it looks really, really tight. Here are some stills of the actual comic itself, just lying flat, lying open, no gutter loss, looks really good. I am going to have a flick through the comic in just a moment, but I'm having some issues with my lighting setup, so I thought some people might appreciate having those pictures there. And here it is side by side with the original volume 1. So they're front by front. And if you turn it over, you can see that I've got a kind of a theme on the back images of having these stark, brightly coloured images against a very plain, austere white background. So without any further ado, let's jump into the binding order. It's quite an unusual binding order because I start with X-Men Unlimited issue 14, which is actually about Franklin Richards and called The One They Left Behind. Technically, it's not part of the Heroes Reborn universe, but I've always thought it forms a great prologue to this second half of the Heroes Reborn universe set after the Industrial Revolution events. Then you jump into Avengers, you've got issues 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. Similarly with Captain America, you've got 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11 there. I guess I could have split the last couple of pages of 11 out and had it much later on, and if you're familiar with the story you'll understand why, but at the same time I felt thematically it fitted here better than anywhere else, so I'm happy with that. You then got Fantastic Four issues 7, 8, 9 and 10, and then Iron Man issues 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. At that point you then have Fantastic Four 11, because although that's not necessarily the way they were published, that actually is the perfect reading order for them, and reading it in any other sequence doesn't really make any sense, to be honest. That then goes into the 4 issues Heroes Reunited event, which starts with Fantastic Four, goes to Avengers, then Iron Man and then Captain America, and those are the issue 12s for all 4 series. After that, I've then collected the Marvel Wildstorm crossover from 1997 called World War III. Now, it's quite an interesting little mini event where a lot of the properties from the Wildstorm universe, so things like Grifter, things like Captain Majestic and the Demonites and the Cherubim and all that sort of mythos got mixed into the Avengers universe. Imagine like a bit of a mashup more than anything else. It's really interesting. I know a lot of people don't like it at all, but ultimately it's part of that quirky, hyper, over-the-top 90s goodness that I love about this era. You've got Fantastic Four, Avengers, Iron Man and Captain America there. And then from that, I then move smoothly into the Heroes Return series, which is issues 1, 2, 3 and 4, with great artwork by Salvador Larroca, nice colouring, and it just has a nice end to the series. I'm going to jump into a quick flick through now. Not really much to say about it that I haven't already covered, so I just wanted to touch upon the elephant in the room, which is the fact that the Marvel Heroes Reborn Omnibus has now been announced, and that broke my heart when I first heard about it. I only got these custom printed and custom bound, which is a huge amount of work, a lot more work than just custom binding something. I only got this done because I'd waited 18, 19 years, and I thought, you know what, they're never going to release a Heroes Reborn Omnibus. It's generally not a loved series, to say the least. And so I thought, you know what, I'll get it done. And after I had the first one printed, while the second one was at the printers, all of a sudden they announced what they announced. So it did make me a little bit down to start with, and then the more I thought about it and the more I looked at the actual solicitation, I thought, actually, I may well be better off with what I already have. So they've solicited issues 1 to 12 of the 4 series, Fantastic Four, Avengers, Captain America, and Iron Man. So immediately they're not including Heroes Reborn The Return, which actually has never been collected in an oversized format or in a hardcover format. I think that's a massive omission on their part. They're also not going to be able to collect the World War III Wildstorm crossover event, which is kind of understandable due to licensing reasons, but frankly I think it's a great part of the whole series as a whole. In addition, I'm kind of worried about what their bind order is going to be, because even if they generally get the issues broadly correct, anyone that saw my video for Omnibus Volume 1 would have seen that actually that Industrial Revolution event involved a lot of splicing between issues and jumping back and forth for the prologues and the epilogues and so on. And I'm going to be quite surprised if Marvel actually managed to get that just right. And even if they do get that right, I'll be really surprised to get the general sequence and order the issues correct in the sort of way that I've done. Even if they do that, I think a 48 issue omnibus is a massive slab of comics. It'll be quite unwieldy, and frankly, I think it splits well between Volume 1 and 2, with Volume 1 ending at the end of the Industrial Revolution event. So kind of on reflection, I was like, yep, it's not ideal that I've gone to all this effort and spent all this money and spent all this time on it, but at the same time, I'm pretty confident that what I've got is going to be the superior product. Anyway, so that was the flick through. Hope you liked it. I'm going to try to improve lighting in future videos. But in terms of the rest of the things we have here, I just wanted to show that the comic here up against another omnibus. So this is the Age of Apocalypse Companion, which was a bit of a whale, but has now been reprinted. And you see there, they're exactly the same size, exactly the same width. Standing up there, you see they look entirely congruous. And just for fun, I've thrown in a picture of my omnibus shelf as it stands at the moment. And there are the Heroes Reborn omnibuses sandwiched between the Avengers Hickman run, which I recently picked up, and the X-Men Apocalypse Omnis, and you can see their Road to Onslaught showing exactly what a normal trade paperback or custom bind size would look like. So hopefully you can see why I go to all this effort and why I make these. Hope you enjoyed that, guys. I'm going to start posting up videos a lot more regularly now, hopefully every couple of weeks or so. And the next video is actually going to be one about my series of novels, No Gods or Kings, which leads me right to the end, where I'm going to say please like, comment, subscribe to the video. And if you can check out my novel on Amazon, Amazon.com or whatever area you're in, that would be brilliant. It's an episodic novel about comic books and superheroes. Each episode costs less than $1, and the most recent one launched just a couple of weeks ago, episode 4. It'd be great if you guys should check it out. Anyway, until the next time, stay classy, stay minty, stay fresh, or whatever it is people say.